Hey, how's everybody doing? Welcome to this week's session of the Upskill Forum. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Vince. I am the CEO and co-founder of Agile Consulting Group.
My name is Thaddeus, also known as TJ. I am the president and co-founder of the Agile Consulting Group. Welcome. Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday. We're so excited that you all chose to join us this evening. I hope you all had a very well and prosperous day. TJ, how was your day?
My day was good. I've had a lot of stuff going on at work, so it's been like crazy busy, just kind of getting back into the swing of things and trying to just get everything going. But the day's been good. It's kind of cold here in Milwaukee, so I'm not all that excited about that. I've really enjoyed the heat wave we've been having. It's been like 80 plus degrees every single day. And anybody that knows me knows like I love heat. Like I would be cool moving to Arizona.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out like what happened. Like it felt like a fall day in the month of October. It just came out of nowhere. But, such is life. Comes with the territory.
I agree. But no, it's been nice.
Yeah. How about work? How's work been?
Work's been cool. I definitely am thankful, just with everything that I have going on, especially considering just COVID and, so many places are, laying people off and things like that. So I'm thankful just for the company I work for and just all that they do for the employees and whatnot. So I'm good. Good.
Awesome. No, glad to hear that. So to our viewers, thank you all so much for tuning in this evening and being just avid watchers of the Upskill Forum. We're so excited. Every week, we're looking forward to our next time where we get to share with you all and engage with you all on a virtual level. And one day we do believe that we'll be able to physically encounter one another in person rather than our engagement being limited to only a virtual engagement. But this will suffice for the time being. We have an amazing topic for you all this evening. I definitely think that this is a relevant topic. Many individuals deal with this under various circumstances and various reasons, but we want to talk it through to you guys this evening. So go ahead and start that watch party. Go ahead and share this video. We want to make sure that this information gets out to different individuals that may be dealing with this. And as we go further in the topic this evening, it may be something that you may be dealing with on your job as well, and you may be in need of advice. So this is a platform that's available for you to do just that. So our topic tonight is guilt after grievance. We're going to talk to you a little bit more about what a grievance is for those of you who don't know. But we like to start with the quote of the day. Go ahead and read that quote to us, TJ.
So don't ever feel bad for making a decision about your own life that upsets other people. You are not responsible for their happiness. That's so true.
And that is by an unknown individual. But if you decide that you want to take credit for that and come forth, do what you want with that. But definitely such a powerful and relevant quote that I think that is very important. You can't feel guilty about decisions that you have to make for yourself that are in the best interest of yourself.
Vince. Who's going to love Vince and take care of Vince?
Vince.
Exactly. So I couldn't agree more with that quote. Yeah. Nobody's going to look out and take care of you better than you.
Exactly.
Nobody.
So true. So let's dive into it. What is a grievance? Such a valid question. Many of you may hear the term and you may not know, and that's okay. That's what we're here for. That's why we're the Upskill Forum. That means that we're here to teach and educate you all in an open forum where we can create a discussion, and we do that. So make sure that as you're watching this video that you write down your questions, your comments, and make sure that you drop that in the comment section, and we're going to answer whatever questions it is that you guys have in the comment section toward the end of our episode. So what is a grievance? So a grievance, a real or an imagined wrong or other cause for complaint or protest, especially unfair treatment. So that means that your complaint, it could be something that is actually happening, or it could be something that you may feel. I know typically we may say, oh, I get negative vibes or negative energy, and those things can be challenging to prove sometimes. But then there's also too the complaint where something actually transpired. There was an actual event. There was something that was said. There was something that was done. Not a figment of, okay, I felt the vibe, or I kind of felt like, their energy was off. But this focuses specifically on, okay, an event actually took place. Something was said. Something was physically done. And I am offended. I felt that was unfair treatment, or it was unfair treatment. Take that word I felt out, but it was unfair treatment.
No, that's good, Vincent. It's so important because these are things that happen literally every single day in the workplace. And oftentimes individuals don't know what to do. They don't know where they stand. They don't know what rights they have. So we want to really just have some good conversations tonight and help you understand the importance of it.
Absolutely. So I wanted to dive into side effects of filing a grievance, because this is the thing. When you file a grievance against someone, it could even be your boss. There are side effects that comes with that. So one of those side effects is tension. It very well so can cause tension to arise in the workplace. And tension is definitely one of those feelings and emotions that is uncomfortable. Have you ever worked in a tense environment?
Absolutely. I've worked in an environment where honestly, I felt like I was walking on pins and needles.
Mm-hmm.
I can personally say that I had a situation where I worked with an individual that honestly was putting my life in jeopardy. And I was extremely nervous because this is the individual who signs your paychecks. Maybe not literally signing it, but they're the ones that can determine whether you have a job or whether you don't have a job. And I was in that place of I literally filed a grievance, and that tension was there. And it was very stressful, very to the point where I didn't want to go to work, almost to the point where I felt like maybe I shouldn't have said anything.
And that's the thing. Sometimes that tension in the office can cause you to start feeling feelings of regret. Well, maybe I just made it all up, or maybe I should have just kept quiet. Maybe I should have just, gave them another opportunity or another chance. But this is the important thing. These things have to be addressed. Rather, if you want to deal with it now or never, it's going to require you to address it at some point.
Yep.
Otherwise, it's going to continue to persist and develop into a bigger issue. Now, if we relate that to an injury, if you're injured and you don't get that injury treated, guess what? It's going to require more severe medical attention, which very well so could result in a surgery or hospitalization or high doses of medication if you don't address something that is has potential to get out of control.
I agree. I oftentimes say when there's issues that happen, we're just putting a Band-Aid on it.
Mm-hmm.
A Band-Aid doesn't fix it, and it will eventually, kind of like you're talking about, Vince, explode and turn into something even worse.
Absolutely. And great segue. It'll explode and it could turn into something else, and that something else leads us to hostility. A hostile work environment. That is probably one of the most unpleasant work environments to be in. No one wants to be around hostility when you don't know that if I show up to work this day, is my life in danger? Are they going to physically cause me harm? Are they going to tarnish my name and try to speak ill things and create lies and different things like that against me? Those types of things causes for a hostile work environment.
And when you think about a hostile work environment, Vince, what makes it even more hostile is the fact that oftentimes it is your manager, it is someone in leadership, and you're not only fearing for your job, but then you're also fearing for the fact that how are you going to deal with that individual? And honestly, when there's already hostility, there's tension, you already feel like you're walking on glass and you're not feeling good about it, it makes it even harder to deal with the situation. It makes it even harder to have that conversation with that leader.
And that's the challenge, TJ, as you just mentioned. That usually is the premise of it. Is usually with the manager where you start experiencing these things, because if it's with your coworker, it's easy to escalate that up to your manager.
Exactly.
But then too, TJ, we also have to keep in mind too that there are unethical work environments where that manager may favor one of the employees over the other, or they may have a common dislike or hate for that employee as well, where they endorse that type of behavior. So we also have to keep that in mind too, that the manager may be in, as some of the more seasoned individuals will say, in cahoots with those individuals. So we have to keep that in mind as well too, that you may not always feel as though, okay, I can escalate this out to my manager.
Right.
Because they're aiding in continuing with this hostile environment.
Right. It doesn't feel good at all.
Yeah, at all. So then that also leads to the feelings of guilt. It's so easy to feel guilty after speaking up for yourself, especially when you feel as though there's no one on your side. When you feel like there's no one on your side, you feel isolated. You feel like you're alone. And it makes it harder to even go through with the process.
Vince, you're talking so good, and I'm literally turning my head here because I think about the exact situation that I dealt with where I spoke up. I talked to leadership about it, and there's kind of like that waiting period where they're doing their investigation. And sometimes you're in a place of like, what's happening? Are they doing something? Am I in this by myself? And then you start feeling guilty. Maybe I shouldn't have said anything. Maybe they didn't mean it that way. Maybe I looked too deep into it. I want to tell you for sure, if you feel the way you feel, there's a reason for that. So don't allow the pressures of this situation to make you feel like you did something wrong.
But then you start questioning yourself too, TJ, wondering, do they know?
Yeah.
Did someone, break the code of ethics and share with them the types of things that I reported, about them? So that also creates feelings of uneasiness too, in the workplace. And then I think that's a great way to go even into this point, retaliation. Are they going to retaliate against me? And if they decide to do that, what do I do? Who do I go to? What steps do I take to ensure that I'm protected? And it's easy to either say, okay, do I fight or flight? It's so easy to leave, at that point, because then you don't feel like you have the backing and the support that you need so that you can come to work every day and feel comfortable.
No, I agree. Oftentimes, most companies have a no retaliation policy, but even to your point, Vince, when you're dealing with that situation, sometimes it feels like that no retaliation policy doesn't exist, because a lot of times when it is the manager, HR has a responsibility to do their due diligence, right? And while that is happening, you're still kind of left in limbo, wondering what's happening. Is something being done? So I have dealt with the situation of retaliation, even from a previous manager. And retaliation could be unfair treatment. It could be, having you do things that you normally don't have to do. That it's outside of the scope of, what the responsibilities are for the role that you may serve in. So when you start thinking of what's happening, and is it outside of the normal job responsibility? Is it outside of what the expectations are? And it could be the tone, the delivery, retaliation. And that's why I appreciate even where I work at, we have a no retaliation policy. But some companies don't always value that and hold up to that, hold that standard up to make sure that that employee is taken care of.
Really good point, because as we're talking even more just along the lines of retaliation can also be you're now receiving a heavier workload, or every time you request a day off of work, it's being declined, or they're no longer engaging with you the way that your job function requires you guys to engage, or it very well so could also be a factor of just blatant disrespect, tone, condescending tone, a loss of respect, even not requiring coworkers to respect you anymore. They may have disclosed certain things with your colleagues that they may not have, should not have. So those types of things happen as well.
I mean, it all goes into the same, I say the same bucket. Regardless of what it is, any form of retaliation is wrong. Mm-hmm. Big, small, or indifferent, it's not right. And if you file a grievance, the company that you work for has a responsibility to protect you.
But TJ, who can you trust?
That's a good question.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
Who can you trust when you are faced with these types of situations? Because it seems as though you already feel isolated. You feel alone. You feel like no one has your back. You feel that if you speak up, maybe they may not believe you. Or you may feel that that individual is a reputable individual that is well respected throughout your organization. And you may feel that if you say something, you're going to open up a bigger can of worms. I remember I worked for a company and the CEO was saying things to me that I felt as though were along the lines of racist. Mm-hmm. And I felt very uncomfortable. I worked for one of the most challenging parts with that too was, one, I was the only African American in the room, and I didn't feel as though the company had a lot of representation of other individuals that looked like me in senior positions. And then also too, I looked at the infrastructure of the company, and the board of directors were all longtime family members, longtime friends, family members, and original investors into this company to get them to the place that they were at. And then also too, the CEO was the son-in-law of the founders of this organization. So with all of those things stacked up against me, I felt as though I had no voice. I felt as though if I spoke up, who would I speak up to? This is a family-run company. This is the highest person in the organization. What do I say? Who do I go to? So that was a tough situation for me where I remained silent, actively looking for new places of employment, of course, but I remained silent. And I had to endure that treatment until I was able to find something else. But there are situations where you may feel as though your back is against the wall and you have no one to turn to. Who do you talk to? Who do you share these things with? There's no representation. There's no one that looks like me. There's no one that I feel as though would be ethical enough, given the circumstances of how the leadership structure is with this organization, where I can use my voice.
No, Vince, you're speaking real life. And again, these are things that happens every single day. And I think what makes it even more challenging is when you are in a situation like this, where it is a family-run business. And it could be a big corporation, but it's also a small corporation at the same time, and not knowing who you can talk to. Yeah. But those are things that definitely in just thinking about this situation, when you're looking for employment, definitely look at the culture of the company, look at the core values of the company, understand how they draw strength from diversity, how they ensure that they're doing the right thing by the employees and things like that. Because when you get in these tough situations, you want to be able to make sure that you are protected. Everything is not always about the money and that you're making a decent wage, because honestly, when the unexpected happens, if they don't have the right tools in place to make sure that you're protected as an employee, all that's out the window anyway.
So true. But if you are fortunate to not be in that situation, trust your senior leaders in HR department. So your senior leaders are typically your boss's boss. That's when you start reaching that level of senior leadership. And then also to trust your HR partners as well, because they are required to maintain your confidence. And this is the thing too. You also want to make sure that you keep confidential information confidential. If you throw around and you're sharing with all your colleagues in the office, it's not something that you want to go and even tell other managers. Keep that between you and the human resource department, and also too with your manager's manager.
Say that again, Vince.
So keep confidential information confidential. You don't want to share this information after you file a grievance with your colleagues. You want to keep that information between you and your HR partners and with your manager's manager. That's as far as you want that information to go. Because at that point, you'll know if anything leaked out, it came from them and it did not come from you. So stray away from sharing this type of information with your coworkers, because it can spiral out of control and become a bigger problem than what you're already currently being faced with.
No, I agree with that 100%. And the reason I asked him to say that again is because working in leadership for a lot of my career, I have seen so many times where individuals, they think they're doing the right thing when they file a grievance, but then you've started a bigger fire within your workspace because you start telling your coworkers, then your coworkers start telling their coworkers. And the next thing you know, it's gotten back to that manager before HR could even do their due diligence to do the right thing and protect you and have a quality conversation or an investigation, because at this point you have involved all these individuals who you think mean you well, but I can assure you, once they get through telling their friend and they tell their friend, and then it's through your entire department, yep. it becomes a very toxic work environment. And then honestly, just the integrity of the investigation may not even be able to be done to standard, because you've done the wrong thing by having these conversations with your peers.
Because at this point, the investigation, as TJ just said, is tainted. Mm-hmm. If you even relate it back to the court of law, the jurors aren't allowed to discuss the happenings of the case outside of the courtroom, because there's the thing of public opinion, which could sway the decision that's going to be made. There's also different factors where you may be bribed or you may be threatened, where it would sway your decision or your follow through with it. So you want to be mindful of those things too, and that's the important part of maintaining that confidentiality.
Absolutely.
And then you want to cover your own tracks. Document the entire investigation process in case things have to escalate into a legal matter. You want to document the events that happen. You want to document when you address what has occurred. And then you also want to document the day that you spoke to your HR department. You want to document what their response to you was. You want to document what your response back was. You want to document even their timeline when they said that they're going to investigate. You want to document all of this, every party that's involved. Document, because these types of things can have potential to escalate to a legal matter, and you will want to be able to hand this file over to your attorney, and they will be able to see clear and concisely from start to finish the happenings from your perspective of what was what took place during the investigation period?
I often say if it's not documented, it didn't happen. And coming from just the HR background, documentation is so important. I've always had individuals tell me note to file, note to file. When I say note to file, that just means making a note of what happened and putting a date on it so that you can legitimately say this is what happened. Because if you ever notice, even in a robbery or things like that, they want to keep everybody away from each other because it's so easy to start, thinking you saw something. Oh, they had on blue. Oh, they had on black. And then you start talking about it. But if you actually document it right then and there, there's no room for error. So documentation is huge.
Absolutely. And if things get out of control, if your company is big enough, request a transfer. If they decide not to terminate that individual that you filed a grievance against, I'm going to tell you now, it will be challenging to continue to work with that individual because you're going to start having thoughts in the back of your head. Okay, they're holding things against me. They're not going to support me. Maybe I just stopped my growth within this company. If you guys have another organization, put in a transfer request and make that a part of even too the action plan, the resolve that you may reach with your HR partners and senior leadership. And also too, if they deny your request, document that. If it continues to persist and you notify them again and they do nothing, once again, that's a time where you may want to consult with an attorney to see if it is a legal matter. We're not attorneys or law advisors, so we are encouraging you, if you are faced with that situation, to follow the proper steps, the proper chains of command, and the protocol of your company. Though you may feel passionately about what you're dealing with, give your company the opportunity to do their investigation. Give them an opportunity to complete their job. Don't jump the ship before an investigation is completed. Give your company an opportunity.
I agree, Vince. You hit it on the head. Everything on the head.
Awesome. So we now reached the point in this episode of the Upskill Forum where we now are opening up the floor for a Q&A, questions and answers. So go ahead and drop those questions, those comments in the comment section below, and we will answer whatever questions it is that you guys have. We love taking time to engage with you all. So go ahead and drop those comments. It looks like we have a few. Okay. James Stewart, how do you handle a situation where you may have filed the grievance and nothing happens? It seems like it was overlooked and you are yet having to deal with the individual. Really great question, James. TJ, did you want to go ahead and answer that?
Yeah, I agree. It's a very good question. I believe if you have a situation where you feel that it's been overlooked, look at the time frame. So every situation takes time. I've had situations where it took literally 60 days for them to do a thorough investigation, have conversations with the other employees, get documentation. So there's nothing wrong with following up. So if it's been, 30, 60 days and you're still not hearing anything, follow up with your HR department, follow up with another leader, a member of senior management to understand, what's happening, what are the moving parts. I can even say I've seen a previous situation where I've seen that there were situations that were filed, but just due to COVID, things were, the process was delayed just a little bit, but they were actually working on it. So again, kind of what Vince said, make sure that you're given the proper timing, but if you're unsure, definitely follow up with an email, written communication. Don't just make a phone call, but follow up with a written communication so that you can reach some resolve.
And with that communication too, if I may add to TJ's point, create bullet points from you want to document when you first reached out. You want to also add in there when they told you that they would communicate back with you again. And then you also want to pose the question, when can I expect to hear back from you all? And if things are continuing to persist, you want to add that in that written communication as well. Start with an email, request a phone call, follow up at that point. But as TJ said, make sure that you have that information documented.
That's good.
So Samuel Hogan, he said, how do you approach your manager with the situation that the maintenance manager is not doing what he said he was going to do? They are best friends. Now that could definitely be challenging for sure, Sam, where the individuals are best friends, so you don't feel that you have the backing or the support that it is that you need to escalate that situation. I would say in that type of situation, it is all about approach. You want to approach that situation with as much wisdom as possible, where you may even pose it as, John Doe, I noticed that Tom from maintenance hasn't been completing his task. I feel as though the message may come better from you if you share with them that we need X, Y, and Z done, or take the initiative to even speak up and talk to that maintenance person yourself and tell them, hey, I need X, Y, and Z done. This is causing a delay in me getting my work done, or it's causing a overpile of trash, and I don't want that to resort into rats. But be okay with giving the explanation as to why you're giving or why you're providing that ask. And don't feel as though it's your job. You should already know to do it. But sometimes putting things into perspective for individuals will help bring about a better end result.
No, I agree with that. And I think just to add to that, Vince, it's important to understand the why. Mm-hmm. So definitely pose it as a question, but maybe understanding, hey, I noticed that Tom hasn't been able to do X, Y, and Z. Do you know if he's doing okay? This isn't his normal, behavior. He normally does a really good job. Sometimes the manager, even though they're best friends, may not be in the know. And I use that as an example because Vince and I are best friends, but I can assure you if there's anything that happens within Agile, if someone brought it to his attention, he will want to make sure that we're doing the right thing for the business. So it goes back to the same thing, even though they may be best friends, hopefully they're both professionals and they would want to make sure that they are operating with integrity.
Well said, TJ. Well said. And then we have Best Max. You said this is really good information. Thank you so much for that comment. But right before we end, we do want to go into announcements. So meet us here every Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time for the Upskill Forum. We have so much in store for you guys. You don't want to miss these episodes. These have been very informative. It has helped a number of people. We can't begin to tell you the amount of inboxes we get, comments that we get, text messages that we get, because the information that was shared on this forum has been extremely helpful to different individuals. TJ, go ahead, take us away with the next one.
Definitely. And to add to what Vince said really quick, if you have a topic that you want us to cover, most of these topics that we're doing are ones that you all have access to share with. So definitely feel free to inbox the Agile group. We're definitely happy to look into it and bring some of your requests your way. And then schedule your one-on-one consulting today by emailing us at engageus@agile-consultinggroup.com. You may be looking to get to that next level in your career. You may want to understand how to start a business. You may just have questions and need our assistance. We want to be that resource for you. So definitely reach out to us, leverage us here at Agile so that we can continue to help you get to the next level.
Absolutely. And join our private group via Facebook for professionals and entrepreneurs, the Agile group, where we share exclusive information. We actually have some really amazing things that's getting ready to roll out within the next month. So you want to make sure that you are a member of this group because we will be launching some membership perks exclusively in this group. So you want to make sure that you have joined in and make sure that you are signed up for our emailing list because we will be sending out some goodies to all of our members.
And then like us on Facebook, follow us on like us on LinkedIn, follow us on Instagram, and then also the Agile Consulting Group. These are all resources that we have for each and every one of you to really help you continue to get to that next level and really just be a resource for you. I just believe we're all better together.
Awesome. And thank you all so much for tuning in. We do want to encourage you all to join us for next week's episode. Next week, we're going to be talking about repentance in the workplace. Repentance in the workplace. That's forgiveness in the workplace after you have done something wrong. If you have been a problematic employee or you have worked with the problematic employee, this is definitely an episode that you all want to tune into right here again next week here at the Agile Consulting Group Facebook Live, 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. And as we always end each of our episodes with our motto. And what is that, TJ?
Live agile, work agile, succeed agile.
Thank you all so much for tuning in. Until next week, our friends.
Thank you.
Take care. Thank you.